By the year 2000, Ozzy had already lived 1,000 lives, but no one could predict what would come next. This video is part of a series called The History of Ozzy Osbourne. This is the fourth installment talking about Ozzy Osbourne and the major events in his life from the year 2000 up to the year 2009. The video was requested by a channel member. His name is Bronson. If you're interested in becoming a member of the channel, there is a join button below with all the information. I have one tier where you can request video topics like this one. With that being said, let's get right to the video. The story begins in the year 2000. Ozzy Osbourne is getting ready to release another album, which would come out in 2001, named Down to Earth. It would be 6 years after his previous album, which was Osmosis from 1995. It's a very interesting album because he has a completely new lineup, or at least half of a lineup, because we still have Zakk Wylde. He came back to the band, but he really wasn't that involved in the writing process. But it's also the only studio album with Robert Trujillo, because he joined Metallica right after this album. And he also has Mike Bordin on drums, who was the drummer for Faith No More. It was his first studio album with Ozzy, although he had been touring with him since the mid-90s. Songwriting process was similar to what he did on his most recent albums, because they were the first albums without songwriting contributions from either Bob Daisley or Geezer Butler, but he used a lot of outside songwriters and producers. His main writing partner was Tim Palmer, who co-wrote many of the songs like Gets Me Through and No Easy Way Out. Ozzy Osbourne even mentioned that working with Tim Palmer reminded him of Randy Rhoads. He also worked with another songwriter named Marty Fredrickson. He's the guy behind the hit ballad Dreamer and a few other good songs like Junkie. And there are a few other people who got some writing credits like Joe Holmes, as well as Robert Trujillo. The recording process took place between April 2000 and August 2001 at Henson Studios in Hollywood. And there were two singles called Gets Me Through and the power ballad Dreamer. The album itself sold pretty well. It peaked at number 4 on the Billboard US 200 and also charted in other countries, including UK, Canada, Sweden, and many more. But this comeback was just the beginning, because later he would become a reality TV star. In 2002, he became the star of a reality TV series called The Osbournes. It was an unscripted look into his family life. The show ran from 2000 up to 2005. Features the daily lives of Ozzy Osbourne, his wife Sharon, and the two children, Kelly and Jack. His oldest daughter, Amy, chose not to be on the show. The series was about the family life at home and their struggles and relationships and everyday activities. It showed Ozzy Osbourne in a different light because he was more of a husband and a family man. It was a popular show. I saw a few episodes when it was on, but it wasn't a show I watched religiously. It was a comedy, if anything, but it was also unscripted, supposedly. The TV show became a big success for MTV, as it was one of the most popular and highest rated programs at the time. They won an Emmy for Outstanding Nonfiction Program in 2002, and the show is also credited for paving the way for more celebrity family reality shows that would appear on different networks. In general, the show was very raw. It was uncensored, but MTV bleeped out all the profanity in the US. I think it was uncensored in other parts of the world, though. The Osbournes ended in 2005. They weren't canceled in a traditional sense due to low ratings. It's just that the family wanted to end it after 4 seasons just because the personal toll it took on them. In general, Ozzy got tired of having cameras in his house at all times that were recording him at every moment. He would also have people walking in and out of his house, and there was no privacy, so he had enough of it. They also said that it had a negative impact on the family's mental health, mostly Kelly and Jack, who were teenagers at the time. Even Kelly had spoken about how it made her feel very insecure because she had to have every conversation relived and was judged. And towards the end of the show, the family got used to having cameras around, so it became less unscripted and the family was starting to learn what they're supposed to say. But there was another event that took place around the same time in 2003, and it was a tragedy. In December of 2003, Ozzy Osbourne suffered a near-fatal ATV accident on his property in Buckinghamshire, England. One day he was out riding his quad bike and he hit something which caused the vehicle to flip over and land on top of him. This in turn caused Ozzy to become severely injured, which included fractures to 8 ribs on his left side, a fractured left collarbone, a stable fracture to one of his vertebrae in his neck, damage to blood vessels underneath his collarbone, and a pierced lung. But luckily, his bodyguard, Sam Rustin, was nearby. He had to perform mouth-to-mouth resuscitation twice to revive him before he was transported to Wexham Park Hospital in Slough. Ozzy was kept in intensive care and placed in a medically induced coma for days. He later recounted that he died twice during the event and was brought back to life by his bodyguard. Doctors performed emergency surgery to restore blood flow to the damaged blood vessel. He was on a ventilator and after being taken off sedation, began a slow recovery. The accident left him with ongoing spinal issues that would be aggravated by future falls. As he himself stated, he was lucky to be here today and not paralyzed. He later vowed to never go near an ATV again. He referred to it as a terrible accident and clarified that he was not under the influence of drugs or alcohol at the time. But despite all this attention, reality TV, and all these things happening, his Ozfest was still going strong. I talked about it in the previous episode. If you didn't see it, it's a festival started by the Osbourne family. And there was one incident in 2005 called Iron Maiden versus Sharon Osbourne. It's one of the most infamous and bizarre feuds in heavy metal history.
If you can't drive 55, we can't fucking play 55!
So this is how everything panned out throughout the 2005 Ozfest tour. Iron Maiden frontman Bruce Dickinson allegedly made a series of comments from the stage that Sharon Osbourne perceived as disrespectful towards Ozzy Osbourne and the Ozfest itself.
We've known those guys since the 80s, and we offered them the show. They were getting paid $185,000 a night. We treated them, everything they wanted, they got.
Basically, Bruce Dickinson accused and criticized Ozzy for using a teleprompter.
They would go on stage, and Bruce Dickinson each night would slag Ozzy.
Yes.
Say really disrespectful things about Ozzy. About Ozzy, and Ozzy's the schmuck that's paying him.
He also said Iron Maiden didn't need a reality show to stay relevant. He also complained about the sound system at the festival, and he suggested that Iron Maiden was the real headliner and not just a reunion band.
So I'm thinking to myself, let it go on. Just carry on, you little shit.
But Sharon Osbourne took these remarks very personally. She felt Bruce Dickinson was biting the hand that fed him as Iron Maiden was being paid to play at Ozzy's festival. Now here's where everything gets interesting. She later admitted to being increasingly annoyed by Bruce Dickinson's arrogance and disrespect, but all this culminated on August 20, 2005 in San Bernardino, California. It was during Iron Maiden's final performance at Ozfest, and Sharon orchestrated a series of retaliations during Iron Maiden's set.
I got 200 Hispanic kids, loaded them with eggs. They had peanut butter. They fucking pelted the shit out of them.
Out of Iron Maiden.
Yes, and then...
If I wouldn't get sued, I would fucking tear your motherfucking head off!
Afterwards, the PA system was reportedly cut off during Iron Maiden's songs, specifically Bruce Dickinson's microphone.
After some fucking asswipes tried to switch our PA off 3 or 4 times during the show. The reason we're back here, because somebody, just accidentally on purpose, happened to come on with 36 eggs before the show. What an accident. That wasn't planned at all, was it?
As well as other band instruments, there was also somebody who ran out on the stage with an American flag while they played the Trooper. Bruce Dickinson was angry. He addressed the crowd condemning the egg throwing incident.
Yes, and then I went on stage and I said, look, don't fuck with us. Don't be disrespectful. Don't fuck with us. This is what you get. Now get the fuck off my stage.
Sharon Osbourne came out to address the crowd. She spoke about her love for Iron Maiden as a band, but called Bruce Dickinson a prick and said he got what he deserved for his comments So she basically admitted to doing all this. She also admitted this on the Howard Stern show, as you saw in the clips before. But this feud between Sharon Osbourne and Bruce Dickinson went on for years.
Ozzy, did it bother you that they were saying this stuff?
I didn't listen. I didn't want to know because I'm getting myself prepped for my show, you know.
I didn't tell him. No, I didn't tell him.
Wow.
And they would insult each other in interviews. But Ozzy Osbourne kind of kept out of it. He kind of mentioned that Bruce Dickinson was not a very nice person, but that's just another chapter in the history of Ozzy Osbourne. Moving on, we have more to the story, and we come to the year 2006, Black Sabbath's induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This was a long-awaited and significant moment for the band and for heavy metal music as a whole. They were inducted during the 21st Annual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, which took place on March 13, 2006 at the Waldorf Astoria in New York City. The ceremony was later broadcast on the music channel VH1. The original lineup was including Ozzy, Tony, Geezer, and Bill. Black Sabbath was inducted by James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich of Metallica, which was a fitting choice as Metallica openly acknowledged Black Sabbath's influence on their own music and the entire heavy metal genre. Lars Ulrich made a few jokes about how the Rock Hall took so long to induct Sabbath.
They're so late, but that's another conversation or another argument.
And he also made a joke about the whole Iron Maiden thing.
Oh, and by the way, Sharon, where are you? There you are. If I fuck this up in any way, please, no eggs, huh?
As for performances, Black Sabbath didn't play at the ceremony, but Metallica played two songs. There were Hole in the Sky and Iron Man. Ozzy, Tony, Bill, and Geezer gave acceptance speeches.
The people who arranged this for finally getting us up here, because we've been chosen for about 7 times, to my knowledge, to receive this award, and this is the 8th time, and so we're finally here.
But it was Ozzy, who was very known for his charisma and personality. He gave the most memorable speech. He expressed his gratitude. It was a moment of vindication for the band that for many years had been overlooked by mainstream music institutions despite their massive influence and sales. But after this, Ozzy got to work on his next album. The following year, in 2007, Ozzy released his 10th studio album, Black Rain, released on May 22nd, 2007 via Epic Records. It was a significant album in his discography for many reasons. First of all, was his last album with Zakk Wylde as his main guitarist, although he did return for 2022's Patient Number 9. This album had a heavier sound that was usually heard on a typical Ozzy Osbourne album, but the album was filled with Zakk Wylde's signature guitar riffs and guitar playing. This album also featured Mike Bordin on drums, who I spoke about before, and Rob Blasco-Nicholson on bass, which was his first album with Ozzy. Songwriting credits are generally shared between Ozzy, Zakk, and Kevin Churko, who also handled production. Black Rain had a new sound. It was darker and heavier, and the sound was more of a modern fit into the metal scene of the time. Kevin Churko's production gives it a very polished and heavy feel, sometimes leaning into a slightly industrial or new metal influenced sound on certain tracks, while still maintaining Ozzy's classic heavy metal core. There's a notable use of layered rhythm guitars and a prominent bass presence. Black Rain had a few key tracks such as I Don't Want to Stop. That was the album's lead single and was a significant hit. It reached number 1 on the Billboard Mainstream Rock Tracks chart. It was a driving anthemic track. It became a staple for Ozzy. Then there was Not Going Away, another strong, aggressive track that was also released as a single. And it was the track Black Rain. The song features an atmospheric and somewhat bluesy sound featuring harmonica, and was a nice callback to his Black Sabbath roots. Lyrically, it touches on themes of societal issues. Black Rain performed well commercially as an album. It debuted at number 3 on the US Billboard 200, selling around 152,000 copies in its first week. This marks Ozzy's highest debut at the time, and the album was certified gold in the US. But despite the high sales, reviews for Black Rain were generally mixed. Some critics praised its heavier sound, Ozzy's vocal performance, and Zakk Wylde's guitar work. Publications like Blabbermouth and IGM gave it decent scores, and acknowledging its consistency. However, others, like Rolling Stone and Sputnik Music, were less impressed, with Rolling Stone calling it highly skippable and Sputnik Music deeming it quite embarrassing. AllMusic gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, noting that Nothing on Black Rain could really qualify as an Osbourne classic. Common criticisms often pointed to some formulaic songwriting and a sense that, while solid, it didn't reach the heights of his earlier classic albums. Some fans and critics debated the modern sound, with some finding it a welcome evolution and others missing the more traditional heavy metal elements. And before I finish this off, here's some more fun facts about this album, Black Rain. Ozzy claimed it was the first album he recorded sober, which some reviews highlighted as contributing to a more focused and pissed off vocal delivery. In addition, limited edition copies in the US included a pass guaranteeing a ticket to Ozfest 2007, which was nicknamed the Free Fest that year, as all tickets were free. There were also different cover art versions for the album, with the US original release having a plainer gray cover, while other regions featured Ozzy himself with Black Rain falling. Overall, Black Rain is solid, if somewhat divisive. It's an entry into Ozzy's solo catalog. It shows a heavier, more contemporary sound at this point in his career, and driven by his continued collaboration with Zakk Wylde. And I'm going to end the video right here, but I will stick the other chapters of the series on the screen over here. You can start from the beginning or watch another episode. I've been dividing them by decades, so they go from like 70s, 80s, 90s. These are the 2000s. And please like this video and subscribe and all that good stuff. And thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.